So, as I said before, and as I've probably been mentioning throughout the show, at the moment it's the Edinburgh Festival in Edinburgh, hence the name. And a lot of things go on there, arts and comedy and music and that. I have on the phone someone who is a stand-up comedian, actor and human being. Please welcome Ray Peacock.
Hello there, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Good, you're not bad, Matt. I'm fine, thank you.
Wonderful. So, for those people who don't know about you, tell them a little bit about yourself.
What would you like to know? Feed me. What would you like me to know?
Well, firstly, you're a stand-up comedian. How long have you been doing it?
I've been a stand-up comedian professionally for, I don't know, 9 years maybe 10?
Professionally for 9 years. You've been doing it longer?
Well, I was in a sketch group, first of all. I started in a sketch group called Big and Daft. Which I started in, and that would have been 98, maybe. Our first Edinburgh was 99.
Oh, sweet.
And they kind of overlapped each other, that and the stand-up. So, I was in comedy for a while. I started as what I thought was a promoter. I set up my own clubs, but I didn't really know what I was doing at all. It was just a way of me being able to compare gigs and get a bit of stage time. So, I certainly insulted many an act by giving them £5.
Oh, well.
They should have been getting 100. But I knew no better. So that was how I started, and then we started the sketch stuff, and then the stand-up overlaps that. So it's kind of a complicated, sort of a tangled ball of wool of a career.
And at the moment you are playing the Edinburgh Festival with Peacock and Gamble's emergency broadcast.
Yeah.
With other fellow human being and stand-up person, Ed Gamble.
Well, is he a human being, though? Because he's diabetic. Is that not... Does that make... Are you still human if you're a diabetic?
I think you might be.
I've not checked it. I thought it was something to do with the X-Men. But yeah, Ed Gamble's in it, anyway.
Yeah.
Human or otherwise.
Fair enough. How's that going for you?
Yeah, it's going all right, man. It's we're I think 9 days in or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's gone well. We've had one that took the wind out of our sails a little bit. We did what we refer to as an uppercut show, where everything's going brilliantly, and then suddenly a show just doesn't go as great as you want it to go, and it puts you firmly back on the ground. But other than that, we've been pretty solid in it, and we've been very happy with the response we've got.
Do shows like that kind of make you feel that you're doing something wrong, or is it something to do with just the crowd and you have to get over yourself when it comes to that?
Well, I think I think what happened is, lots of things come together at the same time, don't they? So, the weather can affect it, the size of the crowd can affect it, the way you respond to certain, when you're on stage. I mean, where we messed up was on that night, we responded quite angrily to some people who weren't really going with it,
right.
which isn't in, it's not within our personas in the show. So suddenly everything becomes very inconsistent. And, that's what we did wrong. I mean, we recovered it and we repaired it as we went along, but that was where we messed up. But yeah, lots of different things can affect it. You can't really second guess an audience, I don't think.
Oh, fair enough. So, apart from that going well, tell people about the show, because you've got a premise behind it, if I'm mistaken.
There is a premise or conceit, which is that myself and Ed Gamble, cover other shows when they go wrong. That's what the emergency broadcast is. So if a live show's going wrong, we then step in and take over the show, so people don't go home without a show. And the Fringe show is an expo of that. So that's me and Ned showing people what we would do if we were allowed to cover a show going wrong.
Are any names mentioned of shows that you were going to cover, or?
Well, you know what, the kind of is, but not by us. We have a screen on stage, which, when we're doing certain sections, tells you on there what shows this would be suitable for covering what we're doing. And they're kind of like, they're almost little Easter eggs within the show, within a live show.
Oh, okay.
Like DVD Easter eggs. But they're on the screen, and some people miss them, some people see them, but we quite like having those on there. So, just certain subjects that we cover, like, for example, there's a bit in the show where I show some of my inventions, which we say would be suitable for covering Dragon's Den and things like that. And there's a bit where I do some jokes, which we say would be suitable for covering comedy or Stuart Lee.
Right. Okay.
So that's an example of that. So that's where we're at with that one.
Wonderful. You may notice, don't be worried, in the background there's some kind of rumblings and stuff. We have what is known as a bit of an assembly hall above our heads, because apparently the person who was designing the building for many things, as well as a radio station, was to put something where people work out just above where the radio station is.
So do you have peripheral noise?
We have a lot of peripheral noise. Hopefully it's not coming over the recording.
I can't hear it at all. I can barely hear you, Mark.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, you're doing well answering questions, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm guessing at what you would ask.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good way to be. I'm just expecting me to ask a question, and you go, well, about 8 times, really, but, sometimes...
It could happen at any point, man.
I'd say just do it for a laugh. I'm keeping this bit in the interview anyway, so...
Yeah, keep it all in,
We're expecting it. I wanted to talk a little bit about Warm Up, your short film that was put on the BBC Comedy website and also on YouTube and that. Tell us a bit about that. Where did that come from?
Warm Up came because we basically I'd had the idea for it as a premise, and we just decided to just make it. Because I do actual TV warm up, which is where you go on before a TV recording and you warm the audience up, and often stay there for the night. You go on and off when they're having breaks in filming, and that just keep everyone ticking over. And I've done that for a few years now, and it comes with it's a nice job to do, and it's you meet some interesting people, but it also comes with kind of frustrations as well, I think. And so I'd had the idea of the warm-up film, just to maybe to get some of those frustrations out of my system, and maybe also as a little tentative step towards retiring from being a warm-up man, because you do end up just becoming that. You end up just being that. So I wrote a script. We had the idea, myself and Tristan Cotterill, who directed it, and then I went away and wrote the script. And because Tristan was working on Russell Howard's Good News, as indeed was I as the warm-up, we checked with the producers and with Russell and that, and it was fine. They said for us to film that as we were doing the shows. So we were sort of filming it kind of in a gonzo way. Is that the right word for it? Gonzo filmmaking?
Something like that, kind of like small guerrilla filmmaking, if you will.
Yeah. Pretty much. Well, we would just grab scenes here and there. I mean, it's only a 10-minute film, but it took us. It was filmed over 8 weeks, because we were just grabbing snippets here and there, and none of it was filmed on the same day that's in there at all. Right.
So, you've got Ed in that a bit, and are all the people, are all the people in there kind of actors, or are they more just people you've picked up?
Just myself and Ed are actors. Also within the warm-up film, there was Sarah Dodd, who was at the time a runner on Russell Howard's Good News. There was Jason Dawson, he played a kind of a rival warm-up person, and he's I think he's the assistant producer of Russell Howard's Good News now. And who else was in there? Stefan Arif was in there, who was the guy that was getting me to sign a birthday card, or what I thought was a birthday card in the film. And he works on Russell Howard's Good News as well. So there were literally staff there who we just said, will you come and just do this? There's quite a lovely scene where we're hearing that somebody's resigned, and there's a chin in the foreground, a blurred chin in the foreground, which is actually my manager, who desperately didn't want to be in it. I said, just stand there, you'll be blurred, it'll be fine, just stand there and do it. So he reluctantly donated his chin to the show.
Well, it's nice of him to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he'd have probably been sacked if he hadn't.
Oh, okay. Would you have sacked your manager, really?
Do you know what? If I'm ever going to sack a manager, I would do it for a churlish reason. It would be because he wouldn't put his chin in the film.
Good.
Never anything important.
They're two up themselves, the managers.
They are indeed. Yes,
Sodom.